I am so excited to be back in the judging panel for Junk Kouture this year. We've got some new judges, which is very exciting. And it's always nice to be involved with a competition that really encourages young people to get into sustainability and get creative. Oh, last year being my first year with the 3 words, that's hard. Oh my God, shocked. And I want to explain shocked. Shocked at like the level the students go to creating the pieces. Fun, because me and the judges had a great laugh, especially Louis. And 3, okay, community. And I think that's just because you really feel like you're involved with something. And you know, all the students come together, and whether they're all competing against each other, and even myself and the judges, we all become one big family when we're doing Junk Kouture. Okay, what am I expecting to be different this year? I'm expecting it to be better than ever, you know, because every year it obviously gets better. People get more, I think, creative with what materials they're going to be using. The outfits become a little bit more out there. So I feel like this year's not going to be different. I think it's going to be bigger and better than ever. The first live Junk Kouture final event, I'm so excited. You know, last year I came in and obviously it was a bit different because it was behind the scenes. There was no live shows. It was really nice. I think it was a good stepping stone into Junk Kouture, but I'm so excited for the live shows, the buzz of it, and the students getting the chance to walk in front of loads of people. What advice would I give to the students when it comes to the runway? Well, look, runways are always nerve-wracking, no matter what. Especially these students are very young, they're 16, 17, 15, even younger, and they're coming out in front of all their peers and us judges. So it's going to be difficult. But one thing I will say is, when you get back off stage, you're going to want to do it again. You're going to enjoy it, and it's going to be a really good thrill. So try to remember that when you get out there, give it your all and leave nothing left. You do not want to come off stage and think, oh, I wish I could do that again. So what I would say is, before you go on, embrace the nerves, because they're not going anywhere. So just use them to give your best performance. So during my modding days, I actually did something for Junk Kouture years ago. I wore one of their dresses to a premiere in London. I think it was 2004, 2005. And it was made all from plastic cups. Now, you wouldn't be able to tell from the pictures from the red carpet. It just looks like an amazing white dress. So yeah, that was my first experience wearing couture from Junk. And I wore it all night. I didn't even change out of it when I watched the movie. It was so comfortable. I think as individuals, we can play our part by starting in the home. And that can just be making sure we're being conscious consumers. We're buying things that we actually need, not things that we really, really want. We have to understand that there is a difference. Try reuse as much as possible, recycle as much as possible. And I don't just mean items that we're buying in the supermarket, but I even mean with our clothes. Fast fashion is such a huge contributor to landfills, and I think we kind of look at fashion as being, you know, something that we always need something new, whether it's for social media or for meeting our friends, when in fact there's actually a lot of fun and creativity recycling and upcycling your items too. So starting in the home and doing it small and almost setting yourself goals for the long term, because it is something that, you know, it's habitual almost, and I don't think you can switch that on overnight. So it's something that can definitely be worked upon. And you know, Junk Kouture is a fantastic way for students to get an insight in how that's done and make it kind of cool for students and that generation growing up to recycle and upcycle their clothes. Sustainable fashion doesn't mean a lot to me anymore, because I think that word has been thrown around quite a lot. Like, every brand is sustainable or has a sustainable range, and I think now that I'm in it, I quite understand that those words sometimes have nothing to back them up. So what I would say is, you know, do your research when it comes to brands that claim that they're sustainable. I think one of the most sustainable things you can do is to actually just buy things that you are going to wear a lot of. And understanding, is something just a purchase for a one-off? Can you rent it? Can you borrow something instead? And I think just in general, becoming conscious of why we're buying something, how we're going to use it. Is it something that is going to lie in our closet and not see the light of day ever again? Because at the end of the day, if we all turn around and say, just don't buy anything, it's really hard to do, you know? So just being really careful about what we do buy. And when it comes to sustainability and fashion, I think it really comes down to how we shop, not where we shop. Do I have an item that I refuse to throw out? I actually have a few. So I have a blazer similar to this, a really nice oversized blazer I got in a thrift store like in America years and years ago, that I will never get rid of. Even sometimes people, when I wear it, they're like, you look like you just came out of like the 80s, like, you know. I love it. It's so flattering. It's just a really cool, unique, I know no one else will ever have anything like it. And I also have this really long pleather coat that I got, once again, actually in a thrift store, that is like Matrix meets, like, you know, Almost Famous. And it's just perfect. And like that, you know, a reason I do love going thrift shopping is when you buy something, it's unique. No one else will have it, which is the difference, obviously, than going high street. My ideal design looks like something you could wear on a red carpet. And I think it has to be something that's out there, the materials are innovative, and the design is eye-catching, but also is wearable. Who inspires me? You see, I'm one of those people that I'm kind of inspired by the people around me rather than the people that I've never met. So it would definitely come back to, you know, I know, that sounds so cheesy, but like, you know, I suppose those people like say Serena Williams, like I do love her now. I do love her when it comes to sports, but I guess the day-to-day people who inspire me is like my older sister, Rebecca. She's a college lecturer. Does so much sports. She also has another kid on the way, and just seems to manage everything time-wise. So whenever I'm with her, she really inspires me to get up and do something. Who should the younger generation look to for inspiration? That is hard. I'm trying to think of someone. You know what? I do think that in society we always pitch women and females as you have to be a role model for the younger females growing up. And I actually think that sets such a hard standard for them and also for students, because no one is perfect. So giving someone the title of a role model makes them feel like they can't maybe possibly be themselves all the time, or if they make a mistake, it's a really big failure because they're letting a lot of people down. And students need to also look at multiple people, because they need to understand that people have many failures, people make many mistakes, and it's all about how they approach them afterwards. And that's, I think, I'd almost prefer, if I had a child who was that age, them to look up to someone who has had many failures and has made many mistakes and how they've come out of it. Because I think that's more real life than someone living this perfect level of, you know, perfectionists, where that just doesn't really exist. And I think we have this thing, and I think it's obviously attached to cancel culture now, that we pitch these women up so high that when they do anything wrong, no one should be following that. No, they're not a role model anymore, when in fact they're just thrusted into the situation of having this enormous title. Yeah, I think like definitely having role models who are your age and seeing how they act is fantastic, especially when it comes to decision making. But I also do think having a role model that's, and I use the term role model in terms of like having someone to go to for advice a decade older is really good. Like I always go to my sister who's in her, you know, she's in her 40s now. And when I was in my 20s, I always went to someone who's in their 30s, because they've been through that specific time frame of their life and they can give you honest advice. So instead of having a role model, I'd almost call it having a mentor. Yeah, well, like I think the younger generation are growing up with a bit more of a real eyes open into social media. I think that's probably down to the growth of TikTok as well. It's not so perfect in comparison to Instagram. It's a lot more video content, so you're actually seeing more than just a photo. You're seeing someone's day, or you're seeing behind the photo, whatever it is. So they're definitely growing up with a more of a reality. However, there's obviously, I think, when it comes to social media and growing up in a school now, it must be quite difficult, because a lot of people are, I think, their friendship groups, they might have a status level based on who has more followers or who has gone viral. So it's a lot of pressure. And I think when it comes to something like Junk Kouture, social media can be a great way to obviously share your creation, get feedback off your peers who are also on social media. But I think you need to take away the pressure for it to go viral, or the pressure for you to get likes. You should be posting because you're just really proud of something. If Junk Kouture was around when I was younger, well, this was what, like, it would have been like 15 years ago when I was 16. So I think I definitely would have entered it, 100%, because I wasn't amazing at school and I was really good at sports, but I was really creative. So like art was my best class. So I would have loved that there was a creative competition that I could have really done, and I definitely would have excelled in. So yeah, I've always been into kind of like, I love red carpet looks, so I definitely would have been going for the glamour award, 100%. And I suppose, thinking back to a lot of the contestants that we've seen, a lot of designs we've seen, I'd like to reference a few that I think, you know, I would have loved that I could have made something like that. Like, there was one last year called Culty Life, and it was just amazing. It kind of looked like a 4th of July outfit. And then there was Danu. So it was the gorgeous, it was all made of like pine cones, wasn't it? And I'm trying to think, there was another one, Got Milk. So they were all kind of ones that were really glamorous that I think I would have really enjoyed wearing as well. So I'm definitely, they were ones that when I saw, I was like, I feel like I would have made something similar. So I was voting for them behind the scenes. It's really important to create or to have a competition like Junk Kouture, because it gives them an outlet to be creative. In school, unfortunately, it is quite dimensional. You're either studious or you're sporty. And for a lot of people, you know, your creativity maybe only lies in art or home ec, and maybe if you're lucky you have woodwork and stuff like that in school. But it's really nice that there's an outside competition that can distract you from probably all your teenager woes and exams and study, that you can really flourish and actually get encouragement to go on to something in that field. Because unfortunately in school we don't get to explore creativity, just because how everything is taught. Like, no diss to secondary schools now, but you know, it is fundamentally based on books and being studious. So it's really nice that kids get a taste of that. And I definitely think it inspires lots of kids and students to go into something creative in the future, whether that's fashion, whether that's, you know, I'm trying to think of the word, what's like animation, or just something creative. What drew me to living a more sustainable life? I never really like to claim that I live a sustainable life, because I think as humans, we all do things that maybe aren't perfect, but I definitely try. And I think it took me probably the last 6 years, I've been kind of doing things gradually. Like, first of all, it was all, you know, changing what foods I was buying, maybe buying more in season. And a big thing was actually lowering the food waste. And that just came down to like planning meals and planning my shop. That bag of spinach in the fridge, we all have one. And then it kind of slowly went into fashion. So in terms of like, and I didn't stop shopping all at once, but I actually just became really conscious about why I was buying something. Was I trying to fill a void in my life? Or, you know, why I felt like I needed new clothes all the time? Was it due to social media? Could I rewear, repurpose, remodel? And it actually allowed me to be really, really creative with my closet and discovering a lot more secondhand shops around me. Junk Kouture is a really amazing creative outlet for kids in schools that perhaps want something that's not just about studying and about sports, that allows them to really reach a new potential that not a lot of other competitions do in schools. It also allows children, I say children, but students, to come together and compete for something that has a lot more to do with what's going on in the world in a bigger scheme of things, but done in a really fun way.